Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you're all doing really well. As always, welcome to the channel and welcome to this little guitar lesson that I want to do on Jim Root's playing style. So just recently I put out a how to play like Jim Root reel where I played some of the scales that he uses and techniques and stuff like that and put it together in a solo. And following on from that, I had a few requests to do an actual guitar lesson on some of the techniques and scales that he uses and how to improvise with them. So for all of you who've watched like live Slipknot stuff or even his guitar lessons or whatever, you'll notice that he never seems to play his guitar solos the same way twice, which I think is a really cool thing, but it does beg the question, where is it all coming from and how does he have such confidence and freedom to just go off and do his own thing mid-solo? So I want to show you sort of the main scale that he uses to get that sound, and I also want to show you some of the techniques that he's using as well. Also, the most important aspect of this video is I want to show you guys how you can use this stuff to start improvising for yourself and basically start to develop your own little licks and leads and stuff based on these patterns. We're going to be doing everything in E standard today. I know Slipknot play in drop B for the most part, but just to show you how the scales work and stuff like that, it's going to be easy if we do it in standard, and I can show you how the notes work within the scales. After I run through sort of like the theoretical side of things, I'm also going to run through some licks with you that I've put together sort of in the style of Jim, if you like. If you head on down to my description, there's a link to my Patreon. That's where you can get all the charts and the tabs for this lesson. So I guess the first sort of thing when it comes to emulating Jim's overall sound is using your neck pickup. He likes to use that a heck of a lot, so switch yourselves over to your neck pickup and you'll get that really sort of warm sound that he uses during his guitar solos. That's also going to give you a lot of clarity with the notes, especially with the techniques that are involved, because there's a lot of legato involved and it just allows things to punch through a little bit more. So the first thing that I want to show you guys is the scale that he uses to get that sound, and that would be the Phrygian mode. So some of you guys might be familiar with your mode, some of you may not. If you're not, don't panic. I'm going to show you how it works. So yeah, let's get into it. So the first thing that I'll teach you is the minor scale, and then I'll show you how we alter it in order to get the Phrygian mode. Okay, so the minor scale, or the Aeolian mode, if you know your modes, same thing, two ways of referring to the same thing. It looks something like this. Okay, and that can be a really useful scale as well for like heavy metal playing and stuff like that, but it's not quite as dark as the Phrygian mode. So what we want to do is we want to explore that scale a little bit and find out how we can alter it in order to get the dark edge of the Phrygian mode. So it's quite simple. The Phrygian mode is exactly the same thing, pretty much, but we're going to change one note, and that is the second note in the scale. Okay, so if the minor scale is a 7-note scale, right? So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then it starts again. What we want to do is we want to take the second note of the scale and flatten it. And what that means is just take it back 1 fret. So let's count the notes, okay? So you've got 1, 2. Well, there it is, straight away, okay? So that means that second note, which is on 9th fret, 5th string, we're going to take that back by 1 fret, okay? And that'll land you with 8th fret, 5th string, okay? So you've got, instead, so if we run it in 2 octaves now, you'll wind up with something that looks like this. Okay? And you can already hear that sort of dark edge that mode has just by swapping that one note. And the key to effectively playing modes is to really sort of aim for that note when you're playing. So if we take a look at the minor scale, the notes would be E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, and then back to E again for the next octave if you want to go up there. The Phrygian scale, it's pretty much the same thing, but that second note is now an F. So what was F sharp goes down and becomes an F. So now you've got E, F, and you can hear that straight away. So E, F, G, A, B, C, D, and then octave, next D. And then again, you can go up into the next octave there. If you want to, that would look something like this. So the key to mode playing is really to aim for those notes and you'll start making things pop. Okay, so if I sort of, when I play the scale, if that's sort of like the tendency tone that's making the mode pop, if that's the dark note, if you like, I'm going to be looking for that note. okay? And I'm going to sit on it as much as I can. So if I play the scale again, a little bit more, with a little bit more of an improvisational edge. So I'm really looking for that flat second note, and I'm playing around that area. And in this case, it's an F. If you look on the diagrams that should be on screen now, you'll see they're circled for you. So when you play through it, you can just hear Jim instantly, right? Even in a higher tuning. There's one thing that I want to mention as well, which is beyond important. You need to give your scales a little bit of context when you're practicing them, when you're improvising with them. So the best way to do that is get a drone note going. If you don't know what that is, that's a sustained pitch. You go onto YouTube and type in E drone note, and it just wants to be an E, not an E minor, an E major. Just keep it as a single note, E. Click on one of them and you start playing these modes over the top, you'll really hear the distinct taste and flavor. Otherwise, they just kind of sound like scales, like your musical ABCs. They've got no context whatsoever. So if you're really wanting to make this mode pop, use a drone note. I'll demonstrate now. So I'll play the minor scale first, and then with a drone note, and then I'll play the Phrygian mode next with a drone note, and you should really be able to distinguish between the two. So that's one thing that you can do for yourself straight away. Just get to know the mode itself by playing with the drone note and really try and focus on that flat second note when you're doing it. I'll do it again for you and I'll put a bit more of an improvisational edge on it again, and I'll try and really sit on that flat second note, or in this case the F note. So here we go. Again, the drone note gave that context, and immediately it should hopefully sound like Jim, or something that Jim would choose to play, or rather it just should sound dark like the Phrygian mode does. So that sort of 3-note per string box position, if you like, is really useful for getting across the strings quite quickly. But that's not really the Jim way, because Jim seems to sort of open up the fretboard a little bit more. And that's where the theory comes into it again, if you want to know how to do that. We've learnt it in 2 octaves in this sort of area right here, but we want to find out how can we, take these shapes and notes, how we can take them further up the fretboard in order to get the higher sort of, that sort of a sound that it has going on, okay? So the next thing that you'd want to do is just follow the notes, quite simply. So if we look at the diagram again, the notes are E, F, G, A, B, C, D. And you can 100% do that when you're playing that 3-note per string pattern. So E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. You can 100% do that, but you're kind of stuck there, and once you get to the top of that, and the only thing you've got left to do is descend it, I guess. But if you want to play like Jim, you're going to want to start bringing it up, and it's simple. Just follow the notes. Check this out. So there, we've actually managed to move up past the 12th fret into a much higher register, and I've literally just followed the notes on the guitar, and I've followed the notes that are in that 7-note scale, okay? So check it out. You've got E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So again, it's literally just following the notes, and that's how it's done. And that is what's going to allow you to kind of have the freedom to be able to sort of like move around the neck like he does, because there's a lot of moving around involved in his playing style. There's a lot of big slides and stuff like that go on, so it's sort of like starting from this position and coming all the way up here and back again. So that scale pattern is really useful to achieving his sort of sound. And also, if you don't want to play like him and you just want to master the Phrygian mode, it's really useful again, just for your own improvisation. You know, it's really useful to break you outside of the box positions that we learn when we're first starting off. Another useful thing to do is to learn the scale pattern on one string, so I'll show you that right now. And again, that doesn't really sound like much on its own, right? But if you stick a drone note over the top of it, you'll hear the scale immediately. Granted, we're not starting from the E note, we're just kind of starting from the lowest point on the second string. The notes going up in order, you're just starting from a different point in the scale, but it's not long before we hit an E, and it starts again from its root, right? So you've got C, D, E, and that's kind of like the start of the scale, and then here it is, the flat second, F again. You can hear it straight away. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, and we've even taken it up to E right there on the 17th fret, okay? And that leads me to the next sort of thing that Jim likes to do, which is use drone notes. You'll hear quite a lot of that in his playing style. And what I mean by that is not necessarily having like a separate track playing like we've been demonstrating here. What he'll do is he'll run up a scale pattern, okay? So in this case, the second string, but he'll have the open E next door on top of it so we can strum them together. And that kind of gives the notes a little bit more context in itself. If you listen to it going up now, so again, it gives those notes a little bit more context. And that's another reason why I've picked to do this in E as well, because if you don't want to use a drone note, you can constantly just hit your low 6th string as like a pedal point, okay? Hit that open because that is an E. We're playing an E Phrygian, right? So if you hit that, so I'm constantly hitting that low E note to give everything context again. So there's another way you can go about doing it. And if you watch me on my live streams and stuff where I just start to like noodle around and stuff like that, you'll notice when I'm playing modes and scales and things like that and I'm just noodling around, you'll notice I'll constantly hit my low string to try and give the notes that I'm playing context as like a pedal point. So there you go. There's a couple of things you can do right out of the gate for yourselves if you want to sort of get to know this mode. Number one, just play it in its standard sort of box position. Then what you want to do is you want to play it the Jim way. And then also get to know the mode along one string as well. Okay, and those are the scales and shapes and patterns that we're going to be using for example licks, which we're going to take care of next. So now we're going to talk about some of the techniques that goes into Jim's playing. So we've got the first part of the code cracked, but to complete that, we need to learn about those techniques. So quite simply, Jim uses a lot of legato in his playing. What is legato? It's generating notes without actually picking them. So we know those basically as hammer-ons, pull-offs, and slides. So you've got your hammer-ons, you got your slides, and then you've got your pull-offs. And you'll find that's really the secret to making things sound sort of as fast and fluent as he does. So we're going to put those together now with the scales and do some licks, okay? Like I said, the tabs for these licks are all over on my Patreon. And what I would say to you is use the scale sheets that I've had on screen for this lesson as well, alongside these licks as well, just so you can see where everything's coming from, and hopefully everything should sync up, rather than this bunch of notes that I'm plucking from what appears to be literally nowhere. I'm literally just following patterns. So the first lick looks something like this. Okay, so how we get that is we're in this sort of top end of the scale here, and you're going to Take your first finger, 12th fret, and you're going to hammer 13, hammer 15. And it's nice because the pattern here is the same for the first string and the second string. So you can do the same thing on both strings. And that's how you're going to start the lick. You're just going to do 12, 13, 15 hammer-ons, and then 12, 13, 15 hammer-ons on the first string as well. Okay? Once you get to the top of that 12, 13, 15 hammer-on, you're going to immediately pull back to 13, back to 12. So that would be... Okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to hammer 13, pull back to 12, okay? So that would be like that. Then what you do is you bring your pinky over to 15 on the second string, back to 12 on the first string, then pinky back to 15 on the second string, and then you pick 15, slide 17. So all together, something like that. Okay, so that's your first lick. So this next lick is sort of based on some of like the fast ascending runs that Jim likes to do in his guitar solos. I'm pretty sure I learned this one ages ago from even maybe another YouTube guitar player. So if I've poached this one from you and you're watching this, I do apologize. But I think this one really gets the point across well of what he does. And that looks something like this. Something like that, okay? So slow, that would be... Okay, so how we're going to start that one off is we're going to come over to the 5th string, and we're going to start from our root position, which is our E. We're going to head into the flat second that we talked about. Okay, so that's 7th fret into 8th, and you're going to hammer 10. So it's first scale position, notes, hammer-ons. Then you're going to come to the next string, and you're going to follow suit. You're going to do hammer-ons. So you're going to do 7, 9, 10. And then you're going to immediately pull back to 9 to 7. So it's... And once you get to that 7, slide it up to 9, okay? Okay, and that's a really good exercise on its own just to get your foot in the door with this kind of playing. Okay, once you get up to that 9th fret, what you want to do is you want to hammer 10 to 12. So it's... Okay, so to 10 to 12. Okay, next you're going to go to 3rd string and you're going to do 9, hammer 10, hammer 12. Okay, so all together. And once you do that 9, 10, 12, on the 3rd string, immediately pull it back to 10, back to 9. So... Okay, so that's... Okay, then you finish the run with 10, slide to 14. Okay, so that's... Okay, and that's your second lick. The next lick that we've got is sort of based on the more melodic side of Jim's playing. You'll notice in his guitar solos, amongst all the chaos of really fast legato runs, he puts like sort of like melodic lines in there. And you can do exactly that with this scale, okay? So this one goes like this. Okay, something like that. So how we're going to do that is we're going to slide into 10 on the 4th string, and then you're going to pick 9 with your first finger on the 3rd string, then 10 with your middle finger. Okay, so you've got... Then what you're going to do is you're going to pick 10, slide to 12, slide back to 10. Then that's followed up by 10, 9. Okay, so you've got... Then what I want you to do is pick 9, hammer 10, pull 9, and then slide down to 7, slide back to 9. So it's... Okay, so you've got... Once you've done that, you're going to pick 9, slide up to 12, slide back to 9, slide 7, slide 9. So it's all from one pick, okay? So all together. And that's the sort of thing, by the way, from like a creative standpoint, where like maybe he'd like repeat that line, but do like the lower octave at the end right after. So like, yeah, or maybe you'll do the same thing together. Like that, just by playing octave chords. So just taking those last couple of notes and then playing the octave lower. Something like that. It's your choice. These licks, they're just a guideline. So the next lick we've got, number 4, looks something like this. Okay, something like that. One thing I've noticed that Jim likes to do quite a bit is he likes to rake his way into notes, okay? So what you've got is this sort of A minor triad to start with, and you're just going to rake that. So you put your third finger, 14th fret, 3rd string, middle finger, 13th fret, 2nd, and then first finger, 12th, 1st, okay? So, and what I'm doing is I'm kind of taking my fingers away as I go. I'm not looking to get that. I'm being really light and quick with it. Okay, it's one of those things that you don't want to overthink too much. You could just go into the first note on 12th fret, because that's where we wind up, to take us into the first bunch of notes of the run. So yeah, you could easily start there if you wanted to, but I find this is just a little bit more effective. Okay. Once you get to that 12th note, you're going to hammer 13, pull 12, hammer 13, pull 12. Okay, so that'll be... Okay, and this is where legato was king for this sort of thing, because trying to pick those notes would be quite difficult. That's why it's so effective. And smooth, I would say. It really flows. Once you've got that down, you're going to bring your pinky up onto 15th fret. And you're going to just do the same patterns and shapes that we did earlier with the one that was up at 12th fret. So you're going to do a 15 pull, 13 pull 12. And then you're going to hammer 13 and pull 12 at the end of that. So that's... So altogether you've got... Okay, so that's that run right there. Then what you're going to do is this. And if you're looking at your diagrams, I'm really aiming for that root flat second. So E to F. That's, again, what makes it sound dark. So how we do that is we pick 14 on the 3rd string and pull to 12. And slide down to 9. Once you get to 9, hammer 10. And then slide to 7. Slide back to your root, which is E. So it's... Put that lick together, you get... Okay, so hopefully that breaks that school of things down for you. It just sounds like a flurry of notes, you know, up to speed, and when he's doing these things, and it can be quite intimidating. But when you break down just the little techniques and things like that, learn the scale patterns, it becomes very doable, hopefully. So the next couple of examples I've got really showcase the playing the scale along one string and what you can get out of that. They also utilize the drone note idea that I talked about earlier, where you're sort of playing two strings at the same time. One is playing the actual scale notes, and the other one is just being rang out as open. And the first lick looks something like this. Okay, and I don't know, my mind just thinks Jim immediately when I hear that. And if anybody ever does that, I think, oh, that's like a Jim Root thing, okay? And I've poached it a million times myself, used it all over my playing. So what's going on? We're doing 12th fret, and again, the high E is going to be ringing out over the top. Okay, so you're going to pick that twice. So the first string is open, and you're going to slide your 12 down to 10. Once you get there, pick your 10 and open, and slide up to 15. Once you get to the 15, pick it again, and slide to 12. Once you get back to 12, pick it again, slide back to 10, and then finish by picking 12. Okay, so there's another lick for you. So the next one, and the last one actually looks something like this. Okay, so again, that scale all runs down on one string, those notes. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by picking 12. And I go with like a down, up, down, up, down, up kind of thing with my picking here. And I'm going to pick 12 and open together, second string and first string. Then I go up, open on both strings. Same idea for 10. Same idea for 8. And look, here it is. Here's our nasty flat second note, or F. Really grates against the E, doesn't it? Okay, so then you've got 6, open, and then you're going to finish on 5. And what's really cool to do is to take that 5 and sort of half step bend it to the pitch of 6 and back, because that's taking E, or our root note of the scale. That's taking E and bending it up into that sort of minor second degree, or flat second, or E to F. Like that. And against the open E string as well, because you've got two of the same notes there, E, E. Against the high E string being rung open, it just makes for this really unsettling kind of sound. Like that. So the lick all together. So hopefully those licks work in tandem with the scale patterns that I showed you earlier. And they work as well with the techniques that I showed you earlier, we talked about. But most importantly, I hope this has given you some ideas of how you can start to make this scale your own, how you can start to improvise with it. Like I said at the onset, repetition for emphasis here, but if you really want to get to know this scale, have a drone note on the background while you're doing this, okay? Otherwise, everything's just going to sound quite contextless, and it's just going to sound like doing your musical ABCs, if you like. You know, so if I play... it just sounds like a scale, but if I put an E on top of it, constantly trying to give myself context there by putting that pedal point in there. So you can either do that, or like I said, use a backing track, just an E drone note on YouTube. If you type in E drone note, it's literally full of them. If you want to start thinking about solo construction, just as a final thought here, just start combining the licks that I've given you today. That's literally what I did for my reel that I put out. If you go back on my channel or on my Instagram, you'll see it at How to Play Like Jim, which was the catalyst for this video. But yeah, that's literally all I did. At the start of it, I played the scale. Legato high runs. And then you've got the low descending runs. Put those together, and then maybe finish it with like the drone note one string scale pattern that I showed you earlier, that sort of thing. Just start combining them, and that was the thought process behind that video. I just put one thing in front of the other, put it over a backing track, and yeah, I had a guitar solo. So that's one thing you can do for yourselves as well in terms of putting everything together to make complete solos. Like I said at the outset, if you want sheets for this lesson, they are all over on my Patreon. You can download them and everything's there for you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. I hope you learned something. I hope it was a bit of an insight into Jim's guitar playing and mode playing as well. If you did enjoy the lesson video, please consider hitting the like button, hitting subscribe if you're new here, and of course, leaving a comment and letting me know what you think. And until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Take care, guys. Peace.